Now let's go on to practice question 2. So we're going to have sodium chloride here as a second example. So which method do we use? So let's look at the flow chart. Is the salt soluble in water? Is sodium chloride soluble in water? Answer is yes, sodium chloride is soluble in water. Next up, we've got to ask, is this a group 1 or sparse salt? So since it is sodium chloride, so definitely it's a sparse salt. So answer is yes. And therefore, we're going to use the titration method in this case here. So we're going to use titration method. Step 1. Let's go through the titration method. Step 1. Step 1 is always to prepare the reagent. So what reagents do we use? You must remember titration method uses acid reacting with an alkali. So the sodium, the first part of the name is actually telling you which alkali it is. And the second part of the name tells you about the acid. So step 1 is to prepare, in this case sodium. How to make an alkali? You put in a hydroxide at the back. So sodium hydroxide and chloride will be hydrochloric acid. Okay, so step 1, prepare sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. Step 2, using the two reagents, okay, in this case are two reagents and hydrochloric acid and indicator to find the endpoint volume. Okay, this is step 2. You perform a titration using sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid to find the endpoint volume. Once the endpoint volume is determined, what we're going to do is we are going to repeat the titration, okay, using the two reagents again. It is without an indicator using the endpoint volume. This is step 4. Sorry, this is step 3. And now in step 4, what we're going to do is actually at step 3, after you've done the titration, actually you have obtained the sodium chloride solution. So for step 4, what we're going to do is we're going to do the crystallization method. We're going to heat the sodium chloride solution to the point of saturation and then allow it to cool to form my sodium chloride crystals. And of course, step 5, now when you have your crystals in a solution, what must you do? You must separate them. How do you separate a solid from a liquid? You will filter the mixture to obtain the sodium chloride crystals. Wash it with wash it with distilled water. And then dry it, filter paper. So this is what you'll do for your practice number 2.